Broadcasting live from the Albay PIO News Center, providing you the most exclusive news update from all over the province. This is News at 12. In the local scene, the Committee on Trade and Commerce of the Sangguniang Panlalawigan ng Albay has recommended the passage and approval of a resolution urging local chief executives in the province of Albay to send a letter to Food Terminal Incorporated to stabilize rice prices in the province. The proposed resolution requested that the chief executives write to FTA, a government-owned and controlled corporation, to establish a memorandum of agreement that would allow them to participate in the distribution of National Food Authority rice buffer stocks. It is worth mentioning that on February 3, the Department of Agriculture declared food security emergency regarding rice. Albay and Catanduanes were not covered by this emergency, preventing the province from accessing the rice buffer stock from the NFA. Due to recent developments, the Department of Agriculture has announced that Albay and Catanduanes can now participate in the release of the buffer stock, provided that the local government unit chief executive submit a formal letter of request to FTI. With this arrangement, LGUs can purchase NFA rice at 33 pesos per kilogram on a consignment basis with payment due within 30 days. Committee on Trade and Commerce member and 3rd District Board member Eva Josephine L. Ribaya sought the support of the SPA, which was later granted and approved to ensure an adequate and affordable supply of rice in Albay. Rice can then be sold for 35 pesos per kilogram. In other story, the Albay Provincial Agricultural Office has successfully completed the final validation for its application for the Philippine Good Agricultural Practices certification at the Albay Farmers Bounty Village. The Full Gap certification aims to ensure food safety and quality, environment sustainability, worker health, and quality assurance in agricultural production. An on-site assessment was conducted by the Bureau of Plant and Industry, Plant Product Safety Services Division, and the Department of Agriculture Regional Office 5, a regulatory division, who evaluated whether the farm met health and safety requirements. AF Bouvier was assessed based on 6 aspects of quality management: farm location, farm environment, maintenance of farm structures and facilities, farming practices, worker health and safety, and farm management, which includes farm records, traceability, and staff training. AF Bouvier achieved an impressive total score of 100%, excelling in areas such as soil management and irrigation, worker health, safety and welfare, record keeping and internal inspection, and environmental conservation. This achievement not only ensures the production of safe and high-quality food, but also strengthens the local economy, promotes environmental protection, and enhances the social well-being of farm workers. In the national scene, the government has pledged to continue supporting 17 overseas Filipino workers who were detained in Qatar for participating in an unauthorized rally in support of former President Rodrigo Duterte. During a press briefing at Malacanang on Monday, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro stated that the Philippine Embassy in Doha promptly addressed the situation as soon as news of the incident emerged. The palace official reassured the public that the Philippine government remains committed to assisting all Filipinos, regardless of their political beliefs or affiliations. It is worth noting that the 17 Filipinos were taken into custody at a police station located about an hour from Doha after attending a rally to express support for Duterte, who is currently being held at an international criminal court facility in The Hague, Netherlands, due to allegations of human rights violations related to his war on drugs. In other story, the Department of Health is sending the Philippine Emergency Medical Assistance Team to Myanmar in response to the needs of those affected by the recent 7.7 magnitude earthquake. Department of Health Secretary Ted Urbosa personally led the send-off for the team at Villamor Air Base, which group consists of doctors, nurses, medical technologists, pharmacists, midwives, and nursing attendants. The team will be in Myanmar for 18 days, providing acute care, life support, trauma management, pharmaceutical supplies, and isolation facilities for those in need. They will also handle patient referrals and offer various other medical services. Department of Health Assistant Secretary Albert Domingo mentioned that the specific areas where the PMAT will be deployed will depend on the request from the receiving country. This mission, led by the Office of Civil Defense, is part of the Philippine Interagency Humanitarian Contingent to Myanmar. As of March 31st, the death toll from the earthquake has exceeded 2,000 according to government data. In other news, a total of 77 Philippine embassies and consulates worldwide will offer internet voting for the upcoming national and local elections in May, according to the Commission on Elections. This new system will allow overseas Filipino voters numbering 1,241,690 to cast their ballots online, making the voting process more accessible. As of April 1st, there are 17,323 registered overseas voters eligible for internet voting. Enrollment for the overseas voting and counting system will continue until May 7. Those who are enrolled will be able to vote using their mobile phones or personal computers. In contrast, in-person and mail-in voting will be available in countries where internet voting is restricted, including China, Turkey, Russia, Jordan, Iran, and Libya, among others. The overseas voting period is set from April 13 to May 12. And in the news outside the country, the World Health Organization has declared that the earthquake in Myanmar is a top-level emergency and is urgently seeking $8 million to save lives and prevent disease outbreaks over the next 30 days. The World Health Organization reported that the high number of casualties and trauma injuries puts many individuals at increased risk of infection due to the country's limited surgical capacity. Additionally, the existing conditions in Myanmar are likely to exacerbate the risk of disease following the quake. The initial earthquake, which had a magnitude of 7.7, struck near the central city of Mandalay on Friday and was followed minutes later by a 6.7 magnitude aftershock. The disaster has resulted in over 1,700 fatalities in Myanmar and at least 18 in neighboring Thailand. To address the immediate health needs and stabilize essential health services, the World Health Organization has requested $8 million within the next 30 days to save lives and prevent diseases. And finally, in the news outside the country, South Korea's Constitutional Court is set to issue a ruling at 11 a.m. on Friday regarding the validity of the impeachment of suspended President Yoon Suk-yeol. The decision will determine whether Yoon will be formally dismissed from office or reinstated. Since January, the court has held 11 hearings to review the case, focusing on whether Yoon's declaration of martial law in December violated the Constitution. The motion against him argued that the president's declaration of martial law, his deployment of military personnel to parliament, and his attempts to arrest lawmakers violated constitutional laws and undermined democracy. In response to these accusations, Yoon has maintained that martial law was imposed solely to address the opposition's handling of parliamentary affairs and to investigate fraud in the previous election. If Yoon is officially removed from office, a new presidential election must be conducted within 60 days. And that's all for the news at 12, April 2, 2025. We'll be back the next day. Next day again. Tomorrow will be holiday again. Yeah, we'll be back the next day after tomorrow. And thanks to our news writer LJ Lurejo and Dan Rocchion. And on the technical side, Ted Bobis. Of course, our Provincial Information Officer, Mary Luduga Castillo. And under the supervision of our Governor, Baby Glendong Bungao, I am Greg Hallare. Thank you for subscribing.